KeithAndrewNetWork. The whole point of my talk show is to show you that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, so prove them and still amount to something.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rose. I just had the honor to be interviewed by Keith Andrew. I was on his talk show. To be honest, this is my first talk show attendance in the US, and I have to say, Keith is an amazing person. It's the questions he's asking, they're so real, and there are tough questions. I'm not saying that he's easygoing. Let me go too easily, but the questions that he's asking, they're really meaningful. They very personal and very informative and very, really helping people guide their path. So it's something that I encourage everyone to participate, talk to Keith, explore the inner yourself, and let Keith help you explore yourself and guide more people. So absolutely great show. Love Keith. He's just a great guy. I'm just so honored to be on this show.
Welcome to the KeithAndrewNetWork. It is episode 986. That is right, 986. We're very close to our goal of 1,000. As you heard from the recommendation about our beautiful guest today. So the question I want to ask you is, what attracted you to begin your career as a professional actor?
Well, Keith, I would not call myself as a professional actor or actress just yet. I sent you my bio earlier. I came originally from China, and I was very active in college, in high school, and I was organizing entertainment events, of course, while I was attending school, and I was a good student too. So I was organizing entertainment events. I was hosting them, and I really, really enjoyed that. And I also enjoyed public speaking when I was in China. Then coming to the US, in the 90s, I started working very hard to pursue my graduate degree. So I have a PhD, I have a master degree in science. But then somewhere in my heart, I always remembered what I used to do in this entertainment field. I really enjoyed it. So even now, I am still a scientist. I am still working. But I also want to resume this old passion. So this year, I started taking professional modeling class, and I took a commercial acting class, and I graduated from both with very good grades. So, and I've also appeared in quite a few short films, mostly NYU student films, and also a couple of award-winning directors. They've invited me to play a role in their short films, and so far I'm having a blast. I enjoy it. So I wouldn't call it a professional again. It's more like on the side to explore my hidden talents.
No, absolutely. And first question I want to ask you is, when you were in college, did you go to college in the States or in China?
For my bachelor's degree, I attended in China. But for my master's and PhD, I attended in the States.
Now, I'm going to ask you a fun question, but I want to just go over this. What was the difference of going to college in China and the U.S.? Was there a big difference? Was there similarities?
Well, there are definitely similarities. We all have to take classes, and we have to have good grades. But I would say in China, there was more focus on studying the textbooks, and focusing on the classroom works. While in the U.S., I was perhaps it's also because I was working on my graduate degrees. I had to do more lab work, more research in order for me to get degrees. Even though when I was working on my master's degree, I've heard there's this option. Some people could actually graduate with a master's degree without doing any research. They could just take classes. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true. But for me, I had my research project and I worked on it and I enjoyed it very much and I have a good professor. So it's more hands-on experience that really matters. And for my PhD, I actually came up with a project myself because my professor encouraged me to look for my own direction. He's a very well-known professor, so it's something that the mindset training and the development of the thinking process that I really, really enjoy. Instead of just, reciting the stuff from the textbook, which is kind of hard. Yeah.
Well, I never been to China, so in college, were you ever part of any fraternities? Do they have any fraternities in China?
Not during my time there, but we had a lot of different clubs, if you call that. So we had not necessarily inside college. There's like some that are more outside colleges for also students like me who had other interests than just fighting the textbooks. So there's a speech club that I was a frequent member of. And there are also like a movie critics club that I was participating, but they were both like off campus. So when I attended a college in China, I kind of missed what I was doing because I started doing those when I was in high school. So I started introducing more related events in college. So that's one reason why I started organizing different entertainment events when I was in college. Just wanted to introduce to people, to all my fellow classmates and college mates, that besides the STEM field, besides textbook, there's a whole different world out there. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of work, but I really, really enjoyed that.
Oh, I agree with you. And the last easy question I want to ask you is, I'm a loser, I like this stuff, but did you ever get the chance to do one of those human pyramids?
Not me. I am, no. No. I admire those people who did it, but no, I did not do it.
Well, would you ever be interested, or that's not just something you'd be like to do?
Not the human period part. It's more interesting than just the human period. Yeah.
I like that stuff. I'm a loser.
No, you're not a loser, Keith. You're doing great.
I appreciate it. So next one I want to ask you, everything that you accomplished in your life, what were some of your greatest achievements?
I would say one of the main achievements is to coming to the U.S. by myself, pursuing my first master's degree and PhD. Doing that, of course, with a lot of help from friends, from my professors. I came here all by myself. There's no family. So that was the first thing. And me having a PhD really means a lot for me, and I'm in the STEM field as a woman, so that's something that I'm very proud of. Then, besides that, now I am looking into the digital field. It's not like I'm giving up my STEM career and moving to acting, modeling. I'm trying to do both. So I'm still working, I mentioned to you, as a scientist in my day job, but during my spare time, I'm trying to ignite my old passion. So this is something, it's a second, I don't know how you say, the second career, a side career that I'm looking into. And I think in my age and in my, even me speaking Chinese, English with Chinese accent, I think I even still have this thought, even still have this ambition to even think of doing that, and not just think of doing that. I am actually doing that. I think that, to me, I give myself a pat on the shoulder for being so brave to take that step, I have to say.
No, absolutely. You have to pat yourself on the back. Not to say you want to give yourself a big ego or anything, but you have to be your own personal cheerleader. And I find you to be an inspiration because you came from China. You are a scientist. I do want to talk about that in a second. But you're reaching your goals, and that's all it's about. And I think you're a real inspiration.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Now, the next question I want to ask you, and if there's any questions you don't want to answer, just say pass. With the whole pandemic going on, a lot of people say it's a blessing, it's a curse. Obviously, it's a curse because of all those people that passed away. But at the same time, when people say, oh, I wish I can stay home and do absolutely nothing, and now you kind of get that, and all that BS, we won't go into that. But on a positive note, if there is one, like a silver lining, if anything, has this given you the time to sit back and reflect on your life and say, you know what, this is all the time I have right now, and this is an opportunity to sit back and reflect and pick a different direction of my life. Has that happened to you?
Actually, that's exactly what happened to me. Before the pandemic, I was only working in my day job as a scientist. And I also had a very tough commute. It's every day round trip, takes a lot of time. During the pandemic, I got to work from home. And I had some extra time because it was really a blessing for me not to have to get into the busy traffic. And so I had some extra time. And that was the time when I think that, hey, I have some extra time. Instead of just sitting, being a couch potato, watching TV all the time, actually some ideas I did get when I was watching TV, thinking, oh, this lady appeared in this commercial, that lady did this. And I was like, wait a minute, I used to do all that, and I can do all that. So that was like the idea that kind of came out, resurfaced during this time that made me think, hey, now that I have some extra time and all the meetings, most of the classes are done via Zoom, it's just so much easier. Why not take this opportunity, appreciate the time, the extra time that I have, and do something useful and maybe learn something new or pick up something I used to do, like what I did. So, and of course, the pandemic in its own is not a good thing, but we have to learn how to deal with situations like this. Some things are out of our control, but there are a lot of things we actually can control, such as this.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, let me ask you a question, because you are a scientist, and I do want to put you on the hot seat, but you don't have to answer it. A lot of people on the right say the coronavirus started off as, well, let me go back to this. 2003, you had the bird flu, and then you had SARS, and then you had something else. All that were coronaviruses, and luckily, those didn't amount to jack shit. those disappeared, they disappeared, and we got off lucky. Mm-hmm. But do you think that this came from a lab, or do you think this will just, I wouldn't say I'm not religious or anything. I wouldn't say like an act of God, but with climate changes, we're going to different areas we never gone in before. Do you think the cold is like a coronavirus. The cold's been around for hundreds of years,
Yep.
thousands of years.
Yep.
So we can't really say the cold came from a lab.
Yeah.
But with this especially, I can talk, this virus especially, do you think the coronavirus came from lab and got escaped by accident, or what is your opinion as a scientist?
I believe it came from natural evolution, similar to what happened to flu. You know how we get a flu shots every year? How the flu virus mutates. And I believe that's what happened to the so-called flu virus in the old times, the previous times, the SARS and etc. So, yeah, there are things going on in labs all over the world. But I would not just go ahead and say it only came from the lab. There's some things they grow on its own through their natural evolution. You know, the Darwin's evolution theory. So that's my view. I think it somehow just developed on its own. The mutation from the viruses are extremely hard to control.
No, you're absolutely right. And hopefully, by the end of next year, the pan-coronavirus comes out. I get that. I can go back and do whatever I want. Of course, that doesn't make you invincible. You're still going to get sick and the flu and all that.
Yeah.
But I guess you would agree, mentally, it kind of makes you feel better.
Yep.
And I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I do apologize. But the next one I want to ask you is, well, there's two questions. The first one I want to ask you about is discrimination. But before we get to that, I want to go back. How hard was it when you made the transition from living in China to the States? What were you like, culture shock? Was it like, like anything, I will, and you completed it, you came over it. So what were your steps? I'd like to hear your story.
So, I came in the 90s when there were many Chinese students who wanted to come. But I was not among those who had to come, who really wanted to come to US. Otherwise, they feel like there's no life around. I actually had a decent life when I was in China. It's just one of those things that happened. Oh, everybody's going. Why don't I give it a try too? So I took my test of English as second language, TOEFL. We call it TOEFL, Chinese TOEFL. And then I also got scholarships. So I came here. In terms of cultural shock, I spoke pretty good English when I was in China because I studied it when I was in college in China. And my English was pretty decent. And I also grew up mostly in Shanghai, which is one of the best cities, most prosperous cities in the world. So for me, when I first landed in San Francisco, I looked around and I was like, this is US? I see more tall buildings in Shanghai. I see more luxuries in Shanghai than here, except that everything's labeled in English. I actually felt Shanghai looked better than where I landed. And especially later when I went to Kansas. And I was like, oh my God, this is America? Shanghai looks so much better. So anyways, that story aside, so that's only what the city, what the state looks like. In terms of cultural shock, I would say even though I spoke very good Chinese, English, I also speak very good Chinese. By the way, when I was in China, coming here, I do feel that English part can be challenging. Yeah. So when I went to the university in Kansas to get my master's degree, yes, I went in with some scholarship, but I wanted to get more scholarship. So one option is for me to be a teaching assistant so that I can teach classes, the students' classes, right? But in order for me to be a teaching assistant, I would have to pass a test, so-called Test of Spoken English, TSE. Now, before I took the test, all my professors warned me, no Chinese ever passed this test in this university. So you better prepare. If you want to get this teaching assistantship, scholarship, that's what you're going to have to pass it. So what I did was that one of my friends gave me a radio, and another one gave me a TV. You know what I did? Every day, I would just turn on the radio or turn on the TV. I would not watch any movies. Or all I tuned to was the news channel or talk show. You know, if I don't use that piece, I would have to. And what I was doing was that whichever channel was talking, I don't care who was talking, I would tune to. And I would just follow them, repeat, follow them. So that I started speaking English, feel more comfortable instead of thinking always what I think Chinese and I translate English in my mind. I just want to get myself into the flow. I did that, so I arrived in US in January, and I went to take the test of spoken English in the summer in May or June. So I did that for about 4 or 5 months. Guess what, Keith? I was the first Chinese to pass the test of spoken English in that university. All my classmates were celebrating for me. So because of that, I passed it so I could become a teaching assistant. So that was, that was another achievement for me. And the cultural shock is that, I spoke good English, but not to American standard, but I was able to manage it.
Well, like I said, you are an inspiration. I'm not kissing your ass or anything. I'm just saying. No, throw myself underneath the bus. A lot of people say, Keith, you say you have disabilities, you have this, you have that. But if you look at, professional, I'm a big wrestling fan, obviously. You look at wrestling, you look at broadcasting. There's no one out there that has a disability. Even if they do have a disability, they don't tell you about it.
Yeah.
But they're not out publicly advertising, say, I have a learning disability. I read and learn at a 5th grade to high school level on the spectrum of being retarded. But look at what I have accomplished and saying, if I can do it, you can do it too. You are an example of saying, I came from overseas, I made my dreams come true, and if you can do it, there's absolutely no reason why I can't do it either.
Exactly. I think if people keep telling themselves, I can't do this because I have this, I think they intentionally add this limit to themselves, either in their mindset or in their behaviors. Either they're seeking for sympathy or they're just not determined to do something. But why bound yourself with your limitations? There's so much more you can do. You don't have to do certain things that you can't. But again, it goes to the point, there are a lot of other things we can control ourselves. We have our hands, we have our body, we have our minds. It's our mind, the engine that's driving us and take us to the right direction. So we should not limit ourselves, even with a disability. I mean, if you call me, my Chinese English is somewhat, yes, it's got an accent. Yes, I've been laughed at, yeah. But then, so what? I'm working on it. At least my English is fluent, and it got so much better comparing with what I had when I first came, and I'm still improving. Yes, I acknowledge I don't speak perfect English with an accent, but I can still improve. So just because I have an accent, I cannot speak anything. I'm not going to do that. I know I can do better. Tell myself I can.
No, absolutely. I didn't mean to interrupt, but you bring up two good points. The first one is there's so many different accents out there, Chinese, Japanese, Canadian, British. But the reason I bring it up, and I didn't mean to interrupt, is when you were becoming an actress, and I had some on the show, and it's uncensored, by the way, bitching and complaining and say, I have a Chinese accent, and they said I wasn't good enough. You have a great Chinese accent, and you have the looks and the attitude of saying, I will show you, but that's only a stereotype. Compared to the last person that says, I was turned down for these acting roles because I have a fake accent. I think the accent adds to your character. Yep. But the question I want to ask you is, has anyone given you a hard time about your accent, about when you applied for a certain role and say, you know what, you're not what we're looking for?
Normally when I do auditions, the directors do not tell me when they do not pick me, but I have been turned down for a lot of roles, which I'm fine with it. And I acknowledge I have an accent, and I acknowledge that there are other actresses who are better than me, who speak better English, or maybe just not necessarily look better than me, but just their ways of look just fit the director's profile. I am quite okay with that. This happens to models, this happens to actresses, and a lot of these famous people I met before, they even said they had to go through a lot of auditions, because sometimes it may not necessarily be me. It's just I'm not the type they're looking for. But then I know if I keep trying, if I don't try, I will never get anything. So even though when my agency send me something and I'm like, I'm not sure if I fit for that role, guess what? I am going to do the audition. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to speak with my English Chinese accent. They may or may not like me. So, but I am still going to do my best. Maybe they will change their mind. And it happened to me, one of the commercials, they saw me, they asked me to do something. Luckily, that was a non-speaking one. But they saw me, they liked me, they asked me to go back. They liked me, then I did a big commercial for them. So, but that's after so many failures. You call it failures in audition or rejections in auditions. I've been told by my teachers, rejections is a norm in this industry. So I am used to it. I accept it. But that does not stop me from trying again until I get that.
So if you really want it bad enough, it's like, I know I'm not good, but how much money under the table will change your mind? But you also bring up a good point, but I want you to answer that one real fast.
Yeah.
But the first one I want to ask you is, in China and in the States, I think in the States it's kind of getting ridiculous, but when I was a kid and when you were a kid, you used to do a race, and if we're going overtime, I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But when we were a kid, if you came in first place, second place, third place, okay, but you don't get a trophy for coming in last place. It's like saying, this is a fat kid over here. That's okay, we got you a trophy made of chocolate. But you don't get a trophy for everything you're doing. It's okay to lose. It's okay to fail, because that strengthens you as a stronger person. It helps you become a better person. Do you think it's all right to give a trophy or a chocolate bar or whatever reward to you want? Because I think it diminishes it. What's the point of coming in first place if they're going to give you something anyway?
I do encourage acknowledgement at all different levels, and which is something that's not quite popular in China, because in China they don't even care about the second or third. You only have number one. But this is actually a big difference I learned in this country, that I do not always have to be number one to get acknowledged. So I've had people appreciate me even though when I was not doing as well for certain things. Yeah. So I think it's this acknowledgement, appreciation of the efforts that would actually encourage people to continue. This is not to say we're rewarding you for not being good. It's just like, we really appreciate your efforts, but keep trying. You're getting there. That kind of acknowledgement and appreciation, I think, will help a lot of people go on for a long way.
Absolutely. My last question to you, I'll let you be brutally honest. When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what made you say yes? How do you feel now, and what do you recommend it to other people?
Yes, like the dude segment, I was kind of nervous when you asked me to do a talk show, because I was like, I am not ready for a talk show. But I have to say, after I listened to some of your old episodes and I read your profile, I am so impressed by what you're doing, Keith. You are an amazing person. So I'm so honored that you invited me to your talk show. I absolutely encourage everybody else to talk to you and recommend you to all my friends and colleagues. So thank you again. You're an amazing person.
No, likewise. Now stay tuned. I have a couple questions for you off the air. But wrapping up, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest. And until we meet again, catch you later. Thank you, and have a good night.